Hello everyone and welcome to the game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Freeker in the Montana, Tier 10 US Battleship. It's on the map North in a 4-point domination game mode. It's obviously a Tier 10 battle. There is no carrier and the enemies have one more destroyer, which is not so nice in a domination game. Now what we can just see here is a friendly Shimakaze that tried to capture Point Bravo, but was forced to retreat. There wasn't enough friendly support there. He probably got spotted by the enemy Benson, I'm not sure. But anyway, the Shimakaze is in retreat and decided to go support the right hand side where the other destroyer already is, who might have got chased away by a gearing. But the more important part is the majority of the friendly forces here on the right side. Now Freeker was very careful sailing here towards the left, because there wasn't an awful lot. Well, there weren't an awful lot of friendly ships around here, so he tried to stay a little bit in the back. The Bismarck was rather aggressive. Now, being aggressive in a battleship can be pretty good, but well, you have to make sure that you aren't charging overwhelming odds. And ideally you wanna have your destroyers in the beginning go take the capture zones, if you have destroyers. I have been in battles recently with no destroyers, then it's a bit different. But you know, friendly destroyers weren't around here, and yet the Bismarck chose to go in very aggressive. There is also limited support here. I mean, friendly team has around 4 ships here, but now on the bright side, the enemy cruiser here suicided as well. Bismarck is down. The enemy have quite a few ships here up in the north who are, well, not really threatening the point currently. But it doesn't look like the friendly team will be able to take Point Alpha. Also keep in mind that there are quite a few enemies around here in the center, and if the friendly team commits too much towards the left side, they get separated from their team. So the best course of action might be just to retreat in that direction. Friendly teams are also capturing Point Charlie and Delta. Delta is a point where you don't want to send a lot of ships at, because those big islands mean it takes a long time for big ships to get towards Point Delta, and it takes them a long time to come back. You can sneak a destroyer through the channel, so I mean it's a capture point. If you can spare someone, would send one ship to capture it. Keep in mind you don't want to take your ships out of the battle for too long. So, since the enemies aren't getting Alpha and Bravo and the friendlies are getting 2 points currently, it looks pretty good. So it's time for the friendlies here on the left side to retreat. There is no point in charging those odds. There is no reason to actually really fight here. And Freeker is in sort of a retreat. Now ideally he wants to join up with his team on the right side, but he has to be careful not to show full broadside towards the enemy. Currently if he would sail directly towards the enemies, he would expose his broadside to at least the Izumo and probably some other ships. Now you don't want to go too far here into the south, and he always has the option to just drop into concealment and, well, silence his guns and just sail towards his team over there. But it's not like he is needed over there all that much. It looks like the friendlies have quite a few ships there, and the enemies have about 3 ships. The majority of the enemy forces is here on the left side, and he, I guess, by engaging them might be sort of delaying them. There are a lot of enemies here, Point Alpha. The enemy have like a Montana and Alabama here who are very much out of the fight currently. So those friendly ships here, all they can do is delay the enemy a little bit here. And Freeker doesn't want to get too far away, doesn't want to get too close to the zone wall. He's still in a range where he can do something. It's not ideal, but the enemies have a lot more ships who aren't really participating in the fight. As I said, at least he is delaying them. Now he is trying to get towards his team without showing too much broadside. So by going on the left side at first, he kind of maneuvered himself in this position. But it was worth trying to support the left side in the beginning. And now Cyclone is almost upon them. Of course, in the cover of the Cyclone, it will be easy to rejoin the team. Also in the cover of the Cyclone, he doesn't have to care so much about showing broadside, because only a few ships will ever see him. And also very important, during a Cyclone, he really needs to get closer to the capture point. So he should arrive there in time. And I mean, he's already done like 71,000 points of damage so far. But currently spotted by quite a few angry battleships, and we can see now the problem. While he's directly steering towards his teammates, he is showing broadside. And there might be an argument for just dropping in concealment, but he's still pretty healthy. It's longer ranges and, well, so far it's working out quite nicely. And now the friendly team, unfortunately, is a bit behind ship-wise. But, you know, nothing they can change. For some reason the enemy Yamato is going towards Point Delta, and I think a friendly Kurfürst is trying to go over there to intercept. Which, yeah, shall see how that turns out. And unfortunately that was a little bit of a bigger hit there. But Freeker is still pretty healthy. The visibility is constantly dropping in the Cyclone, and soon he is actually rejoined his team. So far he did a good job at just doing some damage and engaging the enemies that are slowly moving in position. And there's an island in the way. So thankfully Cyclone's visibility is so low now that he doesn't have to fear exposing his broadside. He can just turn up here in the north and slowly make his way towards Charlie Cap.
Torpedoes, direct front.
Now during a Cyclone it should be rather easier to defend Point Charlie, because ships that are further away can't assist, and as I've mentioned in other videos, superior numbers mean a lot less during a Cyclone. It's also important to stick together. And now that the Cyclone is upon them, friendly teams actually really close together, maybe except for the Des Moines. And look at that, there is a Fletcher. And there is a full salvo, which shows that even in a battleship, go shoot destroyers and great things happen, especially at its range. Now there are most likely torpedoes coming, so Freeker is wisely turning away. And there are the torpedoes, so he should be able to dodge most of them. And you know what, it's looking suddenly pretty good. Friendly team is in the lead, both teams have 2 capture points, and during a Cyclone the friendlies here can defend. Now it looks like the Kurfürst here on the right side was successful against the Yamato, which is quite nice, but now it will take him a time to rejoin the fight. And it looks like there is a lone Mogami here spotted in the north. If the enemies are coming one at a time, then this should work out quite nicely. Now Freeker has 2 possible courses of action. He can go here in the north, and since there is a ship spotted there, that might be a good idea. The enemies, it looks like, have some ships here coming from the south and some from the north. Now it's a big question who will arrive first, and not sure if there's a good answer for that, but we just got some ships spotted here in the north, so the north seems like a great choice to go. And unfortunately the Mogami is a little bit too far ahead. He currently has no fire support because the Cyclone limits visibility. And the Mogami has engaged multiple ships, I'm afraid, so might be that help arrives too late.
Torpedoes to port.
There is an Alabama who is, I think, nicely enough showing broadside. He probably hasn't realized that there is an angry Montana sailing his way. And well, that wasn't what I hoped it would be, I guess. So yeah, but the Alabama is almost down. And doesn't look like he has that many friends around in range currently. Goodbye, Alabama. Now, there is a Mogami coming this way, but the Mogami could also turn away. There is no guarantee that he will sail around this island, but it's very likely, I'd say. Now, there are possible options. You can basically slow down, just sit here, wait for the Mogami to sail here showing broadside, and then hopefully delete the Mogami in one sail. The biggest problem with a course of action like that is the Mogami has torpedoes. Now, I'm not sure if they are on reload or not, but if the Mogami manages to launch torpedoes and you are sitting still, then you're pretty much screwed, because by the time you get your ship moving, the torpedoes have already arrived. So while slowing down makes you able to shoot the Mogami sooner, it also makes you more of a sitting duck against torpedoes, and now the Mogami is dealt with and he still has enough speed to hopefully complete that turn, and unfortunately he's showing broadside to a Montana. But it doesn't look like there actually are torpedoes in the water, so maybe the Mogami was on reload, or maybe he was just too surprised. Now it's 3 friendlies against 2 enemies currently, but the Freeker here is almost down, and the enemy Montana is still quite healthy. So it's 2 on 2 now. The Sumo is also quite healthy. Now this will be decided in a nice close quarters brawl between battleships. So the Sumo looks like he is showing broadside. I think, yeah, shooting the Izumo would be the right choice here. Now it looks like he is going for the Montana's guns instead, and he disabled one gun. That's of course also a course of action. I think shooting the Izumo might have been better, because he is showing broadside. But disabling the Montana's guns is certainly helping as well. And yeah, the Kurfürst here is arriving. Now this time he is going for the Izumo, and let's hope for some yeah, well, there is a citadel. Now the Izumo is turning in, and well, I think focusing down the Izumo is probably the best way for them, but Izumo is currently healing and he isn't showing broadside as well. Now it looks like the friendly battleship is moving in. The problem with just charging in is that, well, you see their broadside and they see yours, so it's high risk reward, I guess. Who pulls the trigger first? Who gets those citadels and penetrations? Now, since the Kurfürst is moving in aggressively, Freeker is speeding up as well. Their advantage is that they are on both sides of the enemies, and the enemy's guns are all pointing towards the Kurfürst. Now Freeker is holding his shells until he can get the full broadside of the Izumo in his target, and that paid off. So now the Montana is left. The Montana's guns were pointing in the other direction thanks to the Kurfürst, which means Freeker has some opportunity here, and hopefully he can reload before those guns are turned his way. He's also turning his ship already, meaning maybe he is angled when the salvo arrives and the enemy is not. And also the guns still haven't turned from the enemy. And there is a win! Now let's take a look at the results. Freeker managed to get 2681 base experience, and yeah, he managed that quite nicely. In the beginning he decided to support the left flank. Unfortunately the friendly forces just weren't strong enough there, so he was forced to retreat for well, I guess the first half of the game. And then during the Cyclone, he managed to help secure the win during a very nice brawl in the end. Now, Freeker earned himself Kraken, 2 devastating strikes and high caliber. He scored 239,000 points of damage, and he has 112 secondary hits in a Montana. That's not something you see all that often. Also managed to score 8 Citadel hits. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys next time.